God's blessings to everyone. This is a DGHradio.com news and information update for Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. I'm SGD with your Caribbean headlines covering the latest developments from across the region. Tropical storm Jerry strengthened today in the central Atlantic and is forecast to become a hurricane as it nears the northern Leeward Islands late Thursday into Friday. Tropical storm watches are already up for several islands, including Antigua and Barbuda, Anguilla, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, San Barthélemy, St. Martin and Saint Martin, Saba and St. Eustatius, and Guadeloupe. Expect squalls, rough surf, and 2 to 4 inches of rain in higher terrain, with the track likely to pass near or just north of the island arc. Residents across the Leewards and Virgin Islands should monitor official bulletins and have basic supplies ready. Barbados has issued a small craft and high surf warning as swells from Jerry build ahead of the storm's closest approach. Seas could top 10 feet around exposed coasts, bringing dangerous rip currents and minor coastal flooding. Marine interests are advised to secure gear, avoid the surf zone, and limit nearshore activities until conditions subside later this week. In Trinidad and Tobago, cleanup continues after a rare, fast-forming tornado, likely a waterspout that moved on shore, damaged homes in West Morings and parts of Diego Martin. Roofs were peeled back, trees toppled, and power lines brought down. Emergency crews urge people to keep roads clear for repairs and to document damage for insurance claims. While tornadoes are uncommon in the Southern Caribbean, forecasters remind us that brief, severe cells can spin up during intense thunderstorms in the wet season. Aviation and travel next. Caribbean Airlines has extended the suspension of its Port of Spain Caracas service through the end of October. The carrier cites ongoing safety and security assessments and is waiving change fees or offering refunds for affected passengers. Travelers shifting to alternate routings should double-check entry rules and insurance coverage when rebooking. Keeping with air connectivity, regional airport leaders meeting in Port of Spain are calling for urgent policy fixes to restore and expand intra-Caribbean air links. The Airports Council International, Latin America, and the Caribbean says layered ticket taxes, fragmented regulation, and slow project approvals are stunting growth. Their message: liberalize where possible, modernize air navigation, and align incentives so airlines can serve secondary islands sustainably, because connectivity is as much a policy outcome as a commercial one. Regional integration is also in focus. Labor leaders and policymakers are urging full implementation of the CARICOM single market and economy. That means finishing the job on free movement of skilled workers, harmonizing regulations, and clearing remaining administrative hurdles. Advocates say deeper integration will help match workers to shortages, improve service delivery, and strengthen supply chains across the community. Barbados politics. In a joint sitting of Parliament, lawmakers elected retired Colonel and former Health Minister Jeffrey Bostick as the nation's next president. While the role is largely ceremonial, it carries constitutional duties and symbolic weight in Barbados's young republic. Both government and opposition expressed support and called for the office to champion integrity, youth development, and national cohesion. Business and finance. Barbados is aiming to climb from its current top 10 standing to the number 1 spot among global captive insurance domiciles. Officials previewed that push during Global Business Week, pointing to regulatory streamlining, talent development, and innovation in sustainability as levers to outpace competitors. In a separate review, the OECD affirmed that Barbados met key transparency and information exchange standards for multinational reporting, an important marker as the island courts responsible investment while aligning with global tax norms. Courts and public safety in Jamaica. The police oversight body Indicom is pressing for reforms to snap raids and other planned operations after a sharp rise in fatal incidents. Recommendations include mandatory senior officer presence and wider use of body-worn cameras to improve accountability and rebuild public trust, even as authorities tackle serious crime. Barbados courts. Medical testimony in an ongoing homicide trial detailed 5 gunshot wounds that caused catastrophic internal bleeding in a 22-year-old victim. The clinical evidence covering wound trajectories and organ damage forms a key part of the prosecution's case as the matter proceeds. Road safety in Barbados. One person is dead and another injured after a vehicle incident in the Garden, St. James. Early indications are that the deceased was riding in the open rear tray at the time. Police are probing speed, road conditions, and other factors as the community renews calls for safer transport practices. Sport. Barbadian all-rounder Roshan Primus is targeting West Indies selection after a prolific season in English club cricket, nearly 1,000 runs with multiple centuries and 24 wickets. He'll push to re-establish himself in regional squads across formats as selectors weigh form and balance heading into the next cycle. Tourism and events. Antigua and Barbuda has been named the Caribbean's leading meetings and conference destination for 2025 by the World Travel Awards. Officials credit venue upgrades, reliable connectivity, and concierge support for planners. The accolade is expected to boost shoulder season business and feed the growing bleisure segment that blends conferences with family travel. Weather wrap-up. A separate advisory in Barbados highlights locally heavy showers tied to Jerry's outer bands, with rainfall totals of 1 to 2 inches possible and brief flash flooding in poor drainage spots. Islanders are reminded even glancing blows can bring rip currents, power dips, and slick roads. Plan accordingly. I'm your reporter, SGD, signing off for DGHradio.com. Remember to refresh often for breaking, verified, and developing headlines, because on DGHradio.com, the news never sleeps. Ciao!